Okay, it's a question here. Digging deeper into alien intelligences in the sense of different worldviews, different perception systems, could it be parallel to the fact that artificial neural nets have a large number of minima? Skeptical, but possible. Let me explain what I mean. How do we think about the universe? Well, one thing we think about is we think about space and time. We think about the notion that there is a definite, that things happen at a particular moment in time. That is, that we look around and we say, the tree is moving, the this is doing that at this moment in time. But in fact, things at different places in space, the fact that we view things at different places in space as all happening at a single moment in time is a feature of our way of perceiving the universe. It's a feature of the fact the speed of light is fast compared to our brain processing speed, at least for the distance scales that we're dealing with. It's related to other features of the way that we perceive the universe. We might not perceive the universe that way. It might be the case that every separate event that happens in the universe, that happens at a different space-time point in the universe, was something separate, that we don't bucket it together as these big slices of space at a particular time and so on. That's an example of a difference. I mean, another big difference is this notion of what we say, oh, we can just think of water as a continuous fluid where all the parts of the water, of the little thing of water or something, every sort of point in this water is sort of the same, except maybe it has a different velocity of the water or something like that. But in actuality, there's individual molecules bouncing around there, and the particular detailed configurations of those molecules are completely different in particular places in the water. But in our view of physics, we just say, oh, it's just a continuous fluid where it has the same property at different places, and we don't consider all those discrete molecular motions. So a question that one might ask, I think you're asking, is an interesting question. If we're using neural nets as a way of understanding what's going on in the world, do they reproduce? Do they have the same prejudices that we have? Do they also bucket space in the way that we bucket space and so on? Would they also take all those discrete molecular dynamics and say, oh, it's like a continuous fluid? Okay, here's the situation, I think. The answer is probably they don't have to. The fact is that what we have done when we have neural nets and we train them, we are training them to connect what they do to our version of how we perceive reality. That is, we train an image identifier to say, that's a picture of a cat, that's a picture of a dog, not training it to say that particular pattern of fur on this thing is of this, and I don't care whether it's on a cat or a dog. All I care about is that particular weird pattern of fur or something. And so I think that what we have done to date with our artificial neural nets is very much we train them to connect to our view of how the universe works. Now, could they connect to a different view of how the universe works? To some extent, I think the answer is yes. I think that they already have certain prejudices built into them, because I think that they already have certain assumptions about continuity and calculus and so on built in, which are particular to our way of viewing the universe and might not be general to any possible way of viewing the universe. But I suspect that their views of the universe are more general than the ones that we humans have so far constructed. But as I say, when we actually use artificial neural nets, we're always training the neural nets to be doing things which are useful for us, which means they have to relate to concepts that we have, like cats and dogs and so on. But that's an interesting question.